Greetings, Professor. This is Anthony Posey with HSC 111 Emergency Disaster Response. Caveat before we start timing, my actual topics and slides cannot be viewed because it's on another computer, so I will be uploading it. So if the class wants to watch this, I'm going to review the slides in a fashion. So, time starting now. The topics that I'm going to cover in regards to this is three questions, the three questions that were sent out in regards to the announcements. Starting with number 2, I moved it to number 1, why I chose this topic. So originally, when I first started thinking about this specific topic and this specific paper and trying to develop the functions of the emergency management situation, I wanted to do the Oklahoma City bombing. I know a lot about it. I've done previous reports on it, but unfortunately it didn't fall in the time frame that was originally established by the class in the syllabus. It has to be within the last 10 years. So from that functional standpoint, I wanted to find an additional bombing, and the reason why I say bombing is because I'm in the military and it happens to coincide with the majority of where I want to take this master's degree. Further on, it was also an event that had a lot of information based on after-action reports, which that was my main function of utilization for content, was the after-action report. As I review this, I didn't want to struggle for information finding, as I've done with different reports in the past, and it would be rather frustrating to deal with this all last minute, considering I've been highly active and busy with other obligations, as I'm sure everyone else has. So that's why I chose this specific report, actually. I was able to find quite a bit of content, though. The AAR gave me a great vantage point of how to utilize and how to work through this paper. So the next question is highlighting the major points of the course project research and analysis. So the first thing that I did after reviewing the after actions report is I wanted to find the organization that set up the entire emergency management system for the Boston Marathon as a whole. That happened to be the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, and I will refer to them as MEMA from this point. They had multiple organizations from the local, state, and some federal aspects, to include regional aspects and professionals from emergency management. They all came together for this specific event. And the reason why it was a state function is because unlike most marathons that start and stop in the same location, the Boston Marathon is a unique marathon that goes through about 9 different cities/towns. So it had to be multi-jurisdictionally emergency management planning. So MEMA was the one that took a hold of that, and they developed the planning process. And this is not new. This is something that they've been doing for quite some time. I will discuss that a little bit later. MEMA had developed and coordinated all organizations that participated in emergency management for the marathon. They coordinated with the region, they coordinated state, and they coordinated with the locals. What they did is they had they had monthly meetings in regards to the marathon as it approached. And as it got closer, the marathon positions were solidified. As they've done this before, they already had kind of a guideline, so the experience assisted them. The taking away of this is the professionals all had specific rules on race day. And they practiced these rules. They practiced and were prepared for the situations. In an aspect, they were ready for any emergency management situation. And that's another reason why I chose MEMA, is they were functionally pre-planning the entire marathon as if an event were going to happen. And it was noted in 2012, and you'll read this in my report, that they had practiced a series of practical exercises with local authorities, and one of them was an event where the grandstands crashed with several thousands of people who were watching the marathon, and they had to react accordingly. So they were ready, and they practiced emergency management as an actual professional instead of just winging it left to right. The response in which all the emergency management professionals executed after the detonation of the bombing shows and displays a great credit to MEMA's ability to pre-plan and pre-functionally develop a plan for any type of emergency management situation in regards to the Boston Marathon. Before the bombing had actually happened, they had a sum total of approximately 80 ambulances ready to go in case a mass evac had to happen or occur. Also, due to the large amount of injuries that happen towards a finish line, whether it be cramping or overhydration, they had a medical tent with volunteer medical professionals already available towards the finish line, which is roughly the location of Site 1, and Site 2 was 180 yards up the road. So those are some of the highlighting and major points of the course project in which I wanted to research and analyze. And then I will move on to the third question. Why is it important to understand emergency management? I wrote a blurb here, and it makes sense, but the end state comes out as, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And that goes with information as well. It is important to understand emergency disaster response in order to facilitate helping yourself and the community you reside in. Every state has emergency management situations on annual bases, i.e. fires, floods, high desert problems, tornadoes, hurricanes, high winds, earthquakes, etc., etc. Bombings now all the time, which is unfortunate. The ability to react with uneducated decisions is not always common sense. This implies that it is an individual's responsibility to be able to take care of themselves and their family in a crisis situation. If these individuals understand disaster or emergency response methods, they will be prepared for any event. I would rather be prepared for any event and not ever have to use the knowledge than not have the knowledge and need it. So I'll move on to two more slides, which I added to the original questions. One is the summary. In regards to the Boston Marathon, I believe that MEMA's preemptive planning and preparedness to include experience with managing prior Boston Marathon events was the key to reacting to this event. Overall, MEMA's ability to execute planning with multiple organizations establish a well-prepared emergency management force on race day, and the ability to remain flexible during the response of the bombing suggests that the organization is well-rounded with the process of emergency management and response. And I will summarize with a quote from Benjamin Franklin. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. And I firmly believe that. And I know that other people who watch this will refer back to the 6 P's of proper planning. Prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Don't judge me. I'm in the Army. I have a tendency to cuss a little every now and then. I hope you enjoyed my presentation of HSE 611, Boston Marathon bombing. And I look forward to seeing and viewing other people's presentations. Thank you.